Welcome back to the Heartbeat of Money. I'm your host, Jon P. Moffitt, and today's conversation is one that dives into the heartbeat of family, entrepreneurship, and legacy. My guest is Mauricio Chaparro, the founder of MetaStream Evolution Club, a space where entrepreneurs and family business leaders can come together to share challenges, breakthroughs, and strategies for building with legacy in mind. Mauricio's story spans from Venezuela, Switzerland, Brazil, and Italy. He grew up inside his family business, later taking it global while shaping its corporate governance. After moving abroad in 2014 to give his family new opportunities, he reinvested himself first as a stay-at-home dad, then as a family business consultant, business coach, and mentor. He brings a wealth of international experience and, more importantly, a deep passion for guiding family businesses and entrepreneurs through generational transitions, emotional shifts, and strategic planning. Today, we'll explore the emotional side of legacy, the mindset it takes to navigate transition, and what it really means to build something that outlives you. Mauricio, welcome to the show.
Right, John. So excited to be here. Thanks for the
Awesome.
invitation.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Mauricio, you lived through many stages of your family business, from growing it internationally and then moving it abroad and reinventing yourself. What's one lesson about legacy that stayed constant through all of those shifts?
I love it. I love it, John. It's so interesting because I know you're very interested in legacy, and in family business, we're always thinking about legacy. And sometimes we think of legacy either on the capital side of things or the emotional part. For me, it's the entrepreneurial spirit. What is really the legacy? So seen that in different phases of our business. We have bought, we have sell businesses, we have evolved it, and I've also helped my clients in doing that. So really, when we are clear on that a business is a medium to achieving something, and we're not attached to it, we can develop the mindset of going beyond a family business to become an enterprise family.
I love that. I love that. You mentioned being a stay-at-home dad, and then transitioning into consulting and coaching. How did that change your perspective or perspective on leadership, purpose, for the family business? Like, how did that affect your perspective on it?
This is so It was a very challenging time when, after being, uh, the CEO for the family business, being in the Chamber of Commerce of entrepreneurial committee, president of the entrepreneurial committee of the American Venezuelan Chamber of Commerce. Then we decided to go abroad because of the political situation of Venezuela and economica. And then I arrived in Switzerland, followed my wife's corporate career, and I was there like, hey, how do I do this now? uh, I felt incompetent. It's like everything I've
Yeah.
learned, I cannot use it now. So I have to develop a set of skills, a different set of skills to set up my family. I had my 4 and 2 year old. I was taking care of them. We didn't even have daily care, like any nursery that we could take my little one. So I was taking care of them, and it gave me a very different perspective of how important it is for families in general, and particular for enterprise families, to to see that part of bringing up our offsprings and giving them the best options. That really struck me because I realized how important that role is, and to be honest, I was overlooking it. I was seeing it like not as relevant as it really is. And
Yeah.
basically, that's part of a legacy.
Yeah.
What if I can say, beyond all of those ventures and all of this business that I built alone a long time, my children are my greatest, uh, mm, you know, uh, the greatest thing that I've done. I see them growing, I see them
Yeah.
evolving, and I'm very proud. I'm a very proud father.
So did you lead your children like you led your corporate boardroom, or was it a little different?
I was doing that, but then I realized, hey, this is not working. They are not employees. They're not gonna say yes to the boss. They're gonna have
Yeah.
their own reason. That was
Yes.
very, very different kind of setting. And I developed a lot of skills to understand what was happening, to be present, to to see beyond what was um, evident because they didn't communicate as well. And we were, learning a different language in a
Yeah.
different place, learning everything from the beginning. It really opened up my world. It really opened up my perception. And this is one of the things that have helped me a lot in my coaching and consulting pieces to understand what's beneath the surface when I'm with a client.
Yeah, you got to meet them where they're at, right? And with children, you got to meet them where they're at all the time. That's just how they're geared. I have a couple myself, so oh man, that's
Yes, and give
such
them the
such a
values
great,
and see it in
yeah,
a different perspective, and really, what's the most relevant, because sometimes
right.
we have a plan, an agenda, but things shift. There's something else that came up, and that's what needs to be more important at the moment. So that is something that I've taken that into the business side of things.
I love that. So growing up in Venezuela, living in Switzerland, Brazil, and Italy, it gave you a real global perspective. How do culture differences shape the way families think about legacy and entrepreneurship?
Well, yes, culture affects a lot, and it's, of course, it's different, the mindset of the Italian than from the people from Brazil or Venezuela. But, when I did my global executive MBA in family business, we went around the globe. We went in France. It was a French business school. We went in different places of France. We went to England. We went even to Singapore.
Mhm.
And I saw some commonalities. We all think like, hey, no, this country is very different. Our things here are very different. But at the end, it's a human challenge. It's a human thing, what we're talking about. So yes, there are cultural differences and we need to navigate them. But at the end, it's human condition what's behind of it. So it's emotions, it's the mindset, it's the spirit, as you like to say, in the heartbeat of
Yeah,
money,
yeah,
and it's finding what are the reasons behind what is said or what is felt, to go beneath and to take a second look, and to really connect with what the purpose is of what we want to build.
oh, I love that. So, many next generation entrepreneurs struggle with stepping into their family business while also forging their own path. What advice would you give them when those two identities clash?
I lived it. I have to say it. I've been in both side of that, like super in on my family business, or some moments that, hey, is this really for me? Is this what I want to do? What I found, John, very interesting, and also sitting in my clients, but from my personal experience, is that we can always make it our own way. And the business, like the market part of it, it's just a stage. The business cycles are shortening, they're going faster and faster. And every next generation, it's invited to reinvent the business. So
Yeah,
if we want to give continuity, yes, I mean the brand is important, and some basic things from the business are important, but the most relevant is, do we want to be together in business? Are we
mhm,
evolving from a family business to an entrepreneurial family? Is
mhm,
it, are we attached to this business because of tradition, or this or that? Is it because the founder has a very particular way of saying things? And I know that because I'm a founder as well. We put our soul and our spirit into that we are building. But there's the entrepreneurial side of things, like the founder and building it, and then there's the organization and putting the pieces together and growing it, and I leave that too in my family business. But going back to your question, it's is it aligned to what you're called to do? Is there a way?
mhm.
Because we sometimes we think there's only one role. Yeah, you have to either be the successful or you're not, and it's not true. there are so
Yeah.
many roles that you can take. You can be in the board of director. You can be um, part of a a family foundation. You can be there are you can be part of the family council, depending on the side of the business. If you want to structure the governance of the business, there are many different roles. It's not only working actively in the business. And I know because my sister and my brother, they have their corporate careers, and they added to us. We we structure the governance in a way that we could benefit from what they know, and still they were doing what they love. And in my case, I was super in for so many years. Then I decided, hey, the has shrunk, and I want to do something else. So I took a break for some years. And we
Yeah.
sometimes it's like we see it like it's for the whole life,
Mhm.
especially when we're younger. We see it that way. So for
Mhm.
you that are a younger entrepreneur, you can. It's a stage. It's just it's not like in the past you had to be in the same job for 40 years. Things are evolving. We now can
Mhm.
be for a certain stage, for a certain project, for a specific role or phase of of the business, and then we can evolve from that. And I think those conversations are very important, not only to have them with your intergenerationally and intra-generation, but even more important, with yourself. What is it what you
Yeah.
want? How can you connect to yourself to see, is this is what I want? Am I doing it because someone else wants me to do it? Or am I doing it because I feel the call and feel that I can add to this and evolve this into the next phase?
Yeah. Yeah. You built MetaStream Evolution Club as a space for peer groups and masterminds. Um, what have you noticed is the biggest challenge for entrepreneur space when they sit down in those groups, and how do you help them break through?
The the leadership positions can be very lonely. And we sometimes don't
Mhm.
realize that. If you're at the peak of your organization, or if you're in a leadership role, sometimes you don't feel like opening up to, either to your team, your not to your clients, definitely. Sometimes not even to your family members, to your spouse, or to your business partner.
Yeah.
So this space that I've created is precisely for that. You have accountability, you have a place that you can come and share your challenges and put out there what you're going through. We all go through things, not only business wise, but family wise and personally. The question that you'd ask, that's something to, sometimes we just need someone to listen to us. And
Mhm.
that's what I do as a coach as well. But in these collective spaces, um, the more open we go to and the more vulnerable we show up, the more we give, the more we receive. So that's part of my
Right.
role as a facilitator, to look for that um, different things. But it's great because you can also add value to others. And when you do that, and when you share with them your experience, what you have done, you realize that you have so much to give and so much value that sometimes we don't value ourselves as much, and we don't see, because we lived it and it's or day to day, we don't see
Yeah.
the big impact that can have in someone else.
Yeah, and also when you get into those environments, you also realize that you're not alone and you're going through what the next guy's going through. So you feel kind of a sense of, hey, I'm part of the cool club, or the club that's going through it, and you get some synergies there as well.
Yeah, we
And your
normalize things, we normalize those
yeah,
challenges. We know that our human condition and that part of the journey, and the more we embrace that, and the more we can acknowledge that, hey, I don't know what I don't know. So let me just put it out there, and let me seek for different perspectives. That opens up a big space, a new dimension of things, because we didn't see the solution. Like I was telling you, sometimes we feel like there's only one option, only to be the CEO. No, no, no. You have plenty of options, and you can create more. So this opens up the options and the alternative for you to decide what you want to do.
yeah. In family business governance, emotions often collide with strategy. How do you help leaders balance the need for structure and corporate governance with the human side and the family dynamics?
Yes, yes, it's a big topic, John, because one of the biggest difference with the corporate world and the family business world is the emotions. Of course, in every job, we're humans. We go with our emotions wherever we go. We're emotional beings. We're social beings. That's everywhere we go in partnerships, in every relationship. But it's different. You can leave the boardroom or you can leave the job and you go to your home, to your, let's say, safe space,
Yeah.
ideally, even though it's not always like that, or they have different phases. But when you have to see your family again, and when you have to encounter them in a family meeting, I lived it. My father was
Yeah.
talking about business all the time, and I was craving for the relationship with my father beyond the relationship of employee and manager or business partners later on life. So I was craving for that, and I created it.
Yeah.
I looked for ways to do it, and I put limits. That's key. We have to put limits. And yes, it all starts with self-awareness. That's why I love coaching, because we're more self-aware we are, the more that we can start to see things. And when we can understand our emotions and we can go through them and we can navigate them, we will give that a space for them, for the family meeting or for the work meeting to 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 be. It comes from a different place when we're emotional, and I live that with my daughters. My daughter was in an emotional uh, crisis, let's say. I was the adult. I was the one who needed to breathe and behave as a more mature. And this is what we need to do in the family business arena. But it's not always easy. I mean, I lost my temper many times. But through
Yes.
that journey, and when we see that what she's going through, that's triggering something in me. It's the same thing in the family business. Something is triggering me. So I need to know myself. I need to see what are my triggers, and I need to bring the a different emotional space to that meeting, because the more we do that, emotions are contagious. So if we're enraged, we're going to put that into other people. If we are peaceful, we're going to put that to other people. So we need to regulate, and this is something where external members of the board or external people in the family business, they help, because they bring objectivity. So it's a great,
Mhm.
when we work on that, we put a balance, and
Yeah.
we find ways to equalize those emotions and try to bring more rationality to the family business space, which is a naturally emotional space. And then we can make better decisions. So the better we are, the more we know ourselves, and the most center we are, the best self will be shown on that meeting, and that will help a lot in going through whatever challenge it is. If it's a business challenge, it's a family challenge, whatever challenge it is, bring the best of yourself, work on yourself, and then you will be able to navigate that better.
I love it. Reinvention seems to be like the core theme of kind of your journey. What mindset, practice, or daily habits help you reinvent yourself and keep moving forward during those transitions?
Yes, be mindful that is a transition. And a
Mhm.
transition, I love transitions. I become an expert myself in transitions, because I've transitioned from one country to the other, from one business to the other, from one market to the other. So a transition is just a foggy space
Mhm.
where we don't know, things are not as they used to be. So, and I love this analogy of this book called Transition. I can't remember now the author, but what he says is that the transition begins, the better you do the ending, the better the transition will be. So it starts with an ending, and then it evolves to the next phase.
Mhm.
So in my practice, what I do, it's developing my self-awareness, being more mindful. Of course, for me, meditation has been a life changer. But yeah, just breathing, you can do it in many different ways. Being aware of your body, there are body practices that you can do, breath work, you can do different things to be more aware of your body, of your sensations, because sensations will come to different parts of your body. So the more you are aware of that, the better you will manage in those other spaces. And it's going to be helpful for so many things. So habits, meditating every day, learning more about myself, connecting with myself, expose myself to new things. In my case, has been, language learning. Let's go and let's do it. For
Yeah.
some people, sports. For me, it's also music has helped me a lot. So
Yeah.
find what's your thing and find your lab. You can practice in your lab. It's your lab the sports arena? Is your lab a hobby you have? Is it
Mhm.
craftsmanship? Go find somewhere that you can practice to take more risk, and you can practice to be more resilient, and you can put yourself in challenging positions, in challenging situations. That's going to help you so much to go through those transitions, because it's just the unknown. And when we do something new and we say, hey, this is just something new, let me just try it. I might not do it perfectly the first time. Of course, you will not do it for perfectly the first time. But then you realize that it's just a process. So
Right.
leave that process somewhere, and then you will be able to leave it in other places where are more challenging, or there's more at stake.
I love that. So keep the end in mind as you get started. If you could go back for a moment, um, you first left Venezuela with your family, what would you tell yourself about the road ahead if you could go back?
Wow. Well, first of all, embrace that uncertainty and embrace those changes. I was
Yeah.
resisting that. I was resisting that so much. I was comfortable, I have to say. We had our family business was going well. My wife had a good corporate business, but we decided, hey, we wanted to give our children a best future. So we have other options. And I'd never in the life would thought that I could, be grateful to that situation to take me out of my comfort zone. And see, nowadays I speak 5 languages. My daughters speak 5 languages. We have go around the world, and we have human patterns that we can recognize, and that those are tools that are very, very relevant and very, very useful for so many things in life. And I was afraid, John, and I was afraid to
Yeah.
do it,
Yeah.
because I was leader of the business. Things were going great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had to step up, and we lived a crisis as well in 2012. Very, very tough crisis, which was a leadership moment that I had to really step up. I was in the back office. My father was the one in the front office dealing with the clients. But then this political threat came in, and he had to leave the country from one day to the next. And I
Yeah.
was, hey, now I'm the one who has to step up and be the leader that I was neglecting to be, that I was
Yeah.
running away from being. And I had to, this is a new
Step
standard.
up.
This is something outside of my control. Let me go and get some resources, leverage on people around me, ask for help, and be resourceful. And then we grow.
Yeah, I love that. Sounds like you're in some good proximity. For entrepreneurs listening who want not just to build wealth, but pass down wisdom, what's the first step in creating a true legacy that their children or the next generation will embrace?
Education is key, John. I think we all can educate ourselves better and more all the time. There's no ending to what we can learn, and the growth mindset, I think, it's key.
Mhm.
So, and the world is changing and it's evolving and it's more
Mhm.
uncertain. That's not gonna stop. It's gonna come faster and bigger, those changes. So it's part of the new world, the new reality. So let's do it proactively. That's my point. Let's do it
Yeah.
proactively. Let's set up some time to be in those spaces. Surround yourself with people that are in a growth mindset as well, that they can challenge you and you can see what they have done and you can see, hey, this is interesting. I haven't seen that perspective. I haven't thought of that. And particularly, I love different disciplines. And that's what we do in MetaHub. Actually, we put people from different spaces because sometimes, the accountants go with the accountants, the engineers go with the engineers, and so on. And it's great. Don't get me wrong. It's great to have the information from your industry, from your particularly area of expertise. But those places, they might tend to think the same way. So we have a confirmation bias. Hey, they told me what I believed already. So we
Yeah.
need to put ourselves in a situation with someone that has different beliefs, different backgrounds, different story, different way of seeing the world. And then we will, open up our perspective and be more, yeah, more open. And that will help us to build our resilience and our resourcefulness.
It's interesting. My daughter is, I'm getting her into the family business and she's into digital marketing and going for it. So I have her working on some of my social posts and doing some things like that. And she called me up yesterday and she gave me feedback and she was real worried. She goes, Dad, I know this is very direct feedback, but can you handle direct feedback? She's like, in an artist, because she's an artist, when they critique your art, they're very real and very honest. And she's very proud that she can take that type of criticism. It's so fun to see your children grow and find interest in what you're doing, and then be have the courage to give you true honest feedback as a child back to your parent. And it was just so rewarding to have that moment. And I know I've talked to a couple other people that have family offices, and they go, the best thing we did is, when we're making a decision on something and we're evaluating some of the facts to make a decision that for the business, we bring them in the room and we go through all the facts with them and we just get an opinion from them and kind of see what they have, and engaging those kids or that next generation in what you're doing at some capacity is such a great way to go about it.
Yes, and it's a great training, John. I can tell you, when I
Yeah.
was in the corporate world,
Yeah.
the training that I had in my family business, I was, like many steps ahead because I already knew all those different things, how to do them. And that helped me propel my career in the corporate world. I was very accelerated because of that, because I already, I wasn't shy to pick up the phone and talk with a client because I've done that. And I've done that in a security business, being, very young. I thought I had to be very serious and, put a different kind of voice or whatever. But I was being challenged.
Yeah.
And in the entrepreneurial space, you need to do many things at the same time. So it helps you to say, hey, what's more important than what? What's more relevant? You learn how to manage better your resources. And yes, I see my girls. My girls are helping me in different things. My daughter just did a AI agent for this.
Mhm.
We're in a new business which is for a well-being device. I found it with my wife. We are distributing this device, which is a German technology, super cool for the well-being. And she helped us do an agent to help people develop a protocol. Which are the programs that you're going to use?
Oh,
And she did
wow.
it so quick. She did it so smartly. I was like amazed. And she's happy to do it. And of
Yeah.
course, I was there. Let me tell you, my father used to ask her for doing translations because he received this information in English. He didn't speak English. So, hey, please translate this to me. Or, hey, please do a summary for me. And we hated it. I have to be
Yeah.
honest. But he trained us. He
Yeah.
trained us, my siblings and I, to this. And then we learn, hey, we learn to negotiate. And you
Yeah.
talk about money, and I love this because sometimes we give money to our next generation in a consistent basis, which is great because they learn to admin that money and to manage it. But at the same time, aren't we ingraining in them and conditioning them to be an employee that has to receive money every month?
Yeah.
We can also, I turned that into a more an entrepreneurial mindset of, hey, Do you need money? So find it your way, look what
Yeah.
resources you have. And it's different, different skills that we can develop that because they can decide in which ways they will make it. And they will know there's no ceiling. It depends on the value they are adding.
Yeah.
And we're working with different areas of the self to be able to, step up and say, hey, I what do I deserve? What do I want? And working for yourself and adding value in so many different ways that otherwise you wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was awesome, man. I think it's so great. Your journey is amazing. Thanks for coming on the show today and sharing everything with us. I'm super excited for what you're doing. Do you have any question that you would like to ask me?
Sure, John, because we have something in common, which is we work with families or with businesses. And in your case, when you want them to exit, mm, how do you financially prepare them to exit? I work with my clients and they're ready to exit, but how can you plan that ahead of time in the financial way to be sure that you have, the next coming years, you're on a peace of mind that you can definitely take the leap and do it.
I kind of break it down into three different buckets. The first bucket being emotionally getting yourself ready, because if you're not emotionally ready to exit, it's very painful. It's painful for everybody around you, even if you don't know it. And the way you have to do that is what's the second step is you got to start imagining what you're going to do after you're going to sell your business.
Yeah, I have a
And
project.
you
Yeah.
have to you have to be real about that, because it's not about selling your business and then taking a retirement and going and doing all your bucket list, which is great. And most people will do that and they'll have some fun doing it. But there's a sense of when you're a true entrepreneur and you built something from scratch, your identity is tied up in what you just built. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a weird perspective, but it's almost like quitting. It's almost like I'm done. I'm out. Even though you got this pile of money, you're out. So I tell everybody, imagine what you would do to make yourself feel relevant after the sell. And what I find is that most people want to share their knowledge at the end of the day. So I help them
Yeah.
understand how to structure their knowledge and to become a consultant or a board member or an investor and a board member into something that would make sense to them. So they have something to look forward to after that. And then the last thing is that I really talk to them about structure, like more like documentation and structure and finance, and then talk about like how they want to pass the money on. Do you want to wait till kids are a certain age? Do they want to hit some benchmarks? Do you want to give some rewards? Like if you go and graduate with a master's, here's some money to start your business, and here's some parameters around it. And then talk to them about how to engage their family and their generations into like how they want to participate going forward. But I can say the biggest thing is trying to get everybody's emotion and mental status right before the stuff. Because if the emotion and mental, you're going to get the most money for it because you're going to have a different mindset of how you're putting it together. And
You're
then
not gonna sell your visa with a discount.
no, and the other thing is it's a lot like what you said, it's a transition, right? So
Yeah,
see
it
the
is.
end, envision that end and then enjoy the journey, I think a lot of us, we as entrepreneurs are always fighting for that thing we see, and we're not enjoying each day on the way to that journey.
Yeah.
And so enjoying the journey of that and selling and exiting and really, being in tune with that process is kind of how I advise and look at that. So great
Love it.
question.
Thanks for
Great
that.
question.
Thanks for that. And I think it tied up to the previous comment because when we develop the entrepreneurial mindset, every entrepreneur it has this entrepreneurial spirit. So it's
Yes.
just channeling that into something else, into another activity, into because we want to build and we want to keep building.
Yeah.
We just can channel it to a different place and see where we can add value in another stage of life.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited and I have some exciting stuff I'll share with you maybe offline, but I have a
Yes.
few financial products we're looking at to maybe move into that tokenization period and some of that
This is gonna
some
be
of that
exciting. Yeah.
world. And it's going to be exciting over the next 10 years on how everything develops for entrepreneurs. I'm real excited for them. Well, Mauricio, thank you so much. Everybody that's listening, this is the Heartbeat of Money. Thank you for listening today, and we will see you next time.